Hey, good morning everybody, and welcome to the vlog. I hope the start of your day is incredible, or if it's the afternoon or evening, I hope that's incredible for you as well. We have a pretty busy day today. It's kind of a rainy day, which means one thing, right? That it should be a good breeding day for our python. So let's head down to the dungeon, and I'm gonna give you a little tutelage on what I'm thinking about where we're at with the breeding season. So like I mentioned, it's actually a little stormy outside, which causes a little bit more breeding. We actually gave our males 3 days off this week, and that's one of the things you have to do is really kind of understand where your animals are. Sometimes giving them a few day break to breeding will really cause the breeding to go better once you get them back in. So with the fact that it's kind of stormy outside and we've given a few days, I'm assuming when I get my males in today, I'm going to have a really heavy breeding day. Now the barometric pressure day is 29.9. I really like to see that about 29.7 when I see a really big increase in breeding. Again, keep an eye on barometric pressure. When it starts to drop, that's when you're going to see a lot of breeding. And of course right now we're in that stage of the breeding season where we're just trying to get males in with females, period. It's no real art to it. There's no real science to it. It's just literally taking a male from this cage to this cage to this cage and continuing to do that as much as we can. We've been doing that for about 3 weeks now. We're starting to enter into the next phase, and that phase is where we're going to start ultrasounding. That's when the science comes in, and then the art is kind of on top of that science. What I mean by that is then I will stop breeding just random females, but I'll start to breed specific females to specific males right during certain times. When I see a female get to 12 millimeters, 15 millimeters, 20 millimeters, 30 millimeters, I want to get males in at specific times, right? So then the ultrasounding becomes a huge part. We'll probably do their first massive ultrasound in about 7 to 10 days from now. That's when the males will really need to be in with the right females at the right time. And then a lagging female gets a male just whenever I can in hopes that that copulation will cause her to start growing follicle growth. Now the other thing we start doing now, and we already have started, is really starting to increase the food to the females. Now really we'll go 1-2 rats a week on the off season. Now I'm going to go 2, 3, even 4 rats a week now, getting males in with females that are growing follicles, feeding really well, and that's again where you start to see the pops. I'm also going to pay attention to the actual females and where they're at in the cage. If they're on the hot spot, that's a bad sign. If they're on the cool side, bowl wrapping, cool side of the cage, that means they're starting to grow follicles, they're getting receptive for actually breeding, all those types of things. So we're in that stage where the kind of just, you know, throwing males in randomly is about to end, and the actual art and science starts to become where it's at. That's where that 25, 30 years of experience of breeding ball pythons really comes in. So pay attention to your animals, pay attention to barometric pressure, pay attention to how you want to rest your animals, and you're going to have a lot of success. This was what I was a little concerned about, guys. I didn't put a latch on the door for Matilda, and guess who decided to understand how to get out of her cage? So she just pushed the door open. The thing about tortoises, they're so smart that now that she knows she can do this, I have to put a latch on it because she's going to get out every single time. That's what she does. But I'll just go ahead and let her walk around for now. As you can see, I have two really kind of completely different lives, right? We've got BHB that I've done for my whole life, basically. And now over the last 2.5 years, I've got the Reptarium, which is really a very different thing. They're both taking care of animals, but they're both really different aspects of it. One is trying to figure out the best way to get them to breed. You know, that way I want them to be happy. I want them to be clean. I want them to be productive. I want to work with really cool animals. And then on the other side, we've got the Reptarium, where I'm really looking at behavior and training and just kind of learning the enrichment of the animals, getting them super docile so that people can actually interact with them. And it's a tricky thing, you know, we want to make sure that everyone can hold animals like Sunrise here, but we also want to make sure that she isn't stressed out, right? And that's a lot of ways we can learn here, much like I read the animals over there. It's the way that they feed, the way that they react, the way they're laying. When you see them in the cage and they seem to be really relaxed, that's a good thing. When they're feeding, that's a good thing, because a healthy snake that's not stressed out will typically eat really well and act really good. So we're really doing the same behavioral cues here as we do over at BHB. The only difference is over at BHB we're using those cues to see when we can actually breed them. Here at the Reptarium we're learning the animals and what can keep them the happiest that they possibly are, because a happy reptile is going to be a reptile that's going to be amazing to have an experience with. What do I spy over here? Looks like my guy RJ's hanging out on top as well. Yeah, he actually does climb up here pretty often. Hey buddy, how are you? You don't have to go back, you can stay. Go ahead, stay. Right there, stay. I'm not gonna mess with you. I'm gonna walk right by you. You're okay, buddy. You're alright. It's alright. He actually likes climbing up here, and I think it just gives him a different view, right? He can see things, he kind of enjoys it and stuff like that. So I guess Matilda can let herself out of her cage, so can RJ. We have a lot of first-year males this year. Now they're a year and a half old, just like this killer clown leopard right here. And basically, getting these guys to breed is a little bit difficult. Sometimes they'll breed right off the bat, sometimes it takes them a little while. You can't really give up on them, right? But I really want these males to be about 600 to 800 grams. Don't want it to be much more. This one's about 650 grams, and this last time he was in a female was the first time I saw him courting. So for the last 3 weeks, I've been popping him in with females, and he's just been laying there. Well, finally I saw him courting. That's the first sign that I see that I might potentially get some breeding from him. Another thing you can do is you can check for sperm plugs, and I'll show you how I do that right now. So you can basically see the maturity of a male and if it's ready to breed to see if it's actually producing sperms. And that you can just actually avert the hemipenes by popping them out like this. You can see there's not very much in the way of sperm plugs right now. A little white on the top of those hemipenes right there. And sometimes people will even say young males, if you avert their hemipenes maybe once or twice a day, it actually increases the likelihood that they'll potentially breed. And I've seen that happen where when you start first averting, you can see these hemipenes aren't like big full adult hemipenes, but they're kind of in between. Well, the more you avert them, the more, believe it or not, they start to grow into adult hemipenes. I know that sounds weird, but it actually does work. So it's another little trick. Check for sperm plugs, number one, and number two, if you avert your males every now and then when they're young, sometimes it can get them to breed. I know that sounds weird, but trust me, it's a technique that works. If you guys like this type of kind of old school vlogs, you know, where I'm talking about snake breeding and stuff like that, I know a lot of people say they miss that stuff. Not only will I continue to do that through this winter so that I can help you guys out and kind of share all that experience, but also we started doing a Saturday night solo snake talk, myself and Jay, and we're talking all about snake stuff for an hour and a half or 2 hours. Literally, I talk about this type of stuff. So if you want to get lots of information, definitely link in the description, the Checking In podcast, Saturday nights, myself, solo with Jay. I guess it's not solo because Jay's in there too, but we just talk about a ton of snake knowledge. So definitely join us over there. I think you guys will really enjoy it. And you know, just like being into reptile breeding for 30 something years, you know, there was a lot to learn, right? And when I was 2 years into breeding snakes, maybe I thought I knew a lot. Now looking back, I didn't know anything, you know, and I still have a lot to learn there too. And I remember Jay over at Prehistoric Pets told me when I was going to open up the Reptarium that I didn't realize how much I was going to have to learn, you know, and he was right. In two and a half years, we've learned so much about keeping animals on display, letting people hold animals, the experience level, all the things that we've had to do. And trust me, 30 years from now when I'm into this, I'm sure that I'll look back on this time and think how little I knew too, right? So we have to continue to keep learning and evolving constantly, and that has a lot to do with reading the animals and how it makes them happy. Like I said, I have no doubt that we're going to continue to evolve to better and better keepers and better environments for these animals over at the Reptarium as well, and I can't be more excited about the future. Remember how I was talking about I want my females to be at the front of the cage, right? This girl is kind of leaning to the front, this girl is totally up to the front. That's as far away from the heat spot as they can get. They're actually thermoregulating, and when the females start to want to cool off, that again tells me that they're ready to start producing follicles. So this is a great sign. Now, even a better sign, if she's actually wrapped around a bowl, that means that she's almost like kind of getting cool with the water in the bowl as well. So bowl wrapping is another thing you definitely want to pay attention to. Trying to kind of continue to share all those secrets that I've had for so many yeyears. This is actually a Woma lesser het paintball python, which is a really cool animal. It's one of my smaller, younger males, to be honest with you. And basically what I find is that in the beginning of the breeding season, males will eat a lot. As a matter of fact, every single male that we're breeding this year, only one didn't eat this last week, and it was in shed. So in the beginning of the breeding season, males will turn onto food. The same thing happens with females. Once you start putting males and females together, they start going crazy for food. So I had a couple females that were on hunger strike for like 5.5 months, and as soon as I started breeding over the last couple weeks, they started feeding again. It's a great way to go. Now, one of the things I've noticed is that once a male, especially a smaller male like this that's a 1.5 years old, and again, this is the smallest male we have this year as far as breeding goes, once it goes off of food, I've noticed that you've got about 10, 11 weeks of breeding, and if you breed beyond that point, you definitely will have a problem where they start to crash, right? You don't want to kill your males, right? So we keep track of when they're feeding and when they go off of food. Some males will feed right through the breeding season. A lot of males will breed for maybe a month or two and then go off of food, and then all they're thinking about is breeding, they don't want to feed anymore, that means you basically have 10, 12 weeks at the tops. You need to shelf that male, because if you push it beyond that, you could potentially kill it. So although those two kind of completely different worlds with BHB and Reptarium are different in some ways, in the way they're the same too, and the fact is I'm equally as passionate with both of them. I think that obviously the Reptarium is where my future is, as far as, like, you know, the education, behavior side, enrichment side, all that type of stuff, but it doesn't mean that I don't still love the whole process of breeding snakes over at BHB, and I feel really lucky that I get to experience both that side and this side. And I really want you guys to be successful if you ever decide to breed snakes. That's why I share all these years of experience with you guys, because I want you to do it and enjoy it and have fun, because before you know it, you're gonna have some beautiful baby snakes. Just like this one that we produced this year, which of course was this banana Enchi Mojave clown ball python. It is so rewarding when you work hard. Again, it starts in November, December, it goes all the way through, you know, sometimes June, breeding every single day, but in the end you produce amazing animals, and that is really the key to success. Not only breeding snakes, but everything, right, is to be consistent. Don't give up. If you skip a week or two, probably not going to be successful, so make sure you do it every single day. And what the heck, while I'm showing off a cool banana clown, how about this one right here? This is actually a banana leopard clown ball python. Look at the color and contrast on that animal. Ooh, doggy, I tell you what, that thing is a ripper. And I honestly enjoy the whole process of the breeding season. I like, you know, thinking about what males and females to put together. I enjoy putting them together. I enjoy the feeding. I enjoy the progress of follicle growth, but in the end, it is always about the baby snakes, isn't it? That's what we do this for. And this one here is a fire Cine yellow belly cypress, and I tell you what, that's it, right? In the beginning of the year, it's like you're dreaming of what you could potentially hatch out of those eggs. You know, the possibilities are endless, and this year we have a lot of really great combinations. So with diligence, hard work, we're going to have an absolutely incredible year. And like I've been mentioning, I'm going to take you guys along on the journey and hopefully help your journey if you decide you ever want to breed snakes. So let me know down in the comments if you guys enjoy kind of more of the integral breeding knowledge that I want to share with you guys, or you want to see Reptarium, whatever you guys want to do, or do you want to mix. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. I enjoy both worlds, so I want to make sure you guys are happy about it. If you did enjoy this video, you want to learn more about breeding, right here is a playlist of a bunch of breeding snakes and stuff like that. Up here, you can subscribe to that podcast channel I was talking about, where you can learn a lot there too. On this side, please help me get to 3 million. We are getting close, guys, so hit that subscription button, turn your post notifications on, everything. Have an absolutely wonderful day. Remember, be kind to someone, and I promise I'll see you tomorrow.